Silence. Panic. You're running, sprinting, trying to keep up. It's quiet. It's so quiet. Why is it so quiet? All around you, white hot light. A tunnel of it, shining, burning. A conduit of power. But there's something ahead of you, maybe. All around you. Can you make me a perception check? Nimbus. Cool. And what was your number that you rolled, Nimbus? I'm sorry.
16.
16. Perfect. As your eyes dart around, looking for anything to root you firmly into reality, nothing. It's just light. As you run headlong into nothing, into everything, the only sensation available is the sound of breath. It's yours, and you hear it. You didn't a moment ago. In this moment, Nimbus, can you tell me what you're doing, what you're thinking as you try to keep up with whatever you're running from or chasing? And also, let us know what Nimbus looks like in this moment.
Nimbus is, as she's running, she is wearing a very flowing gown. The tails of it will be wisping behind her. She is an air genasi, so her skin is a light blue color. When you look at a clear blue sky just at the horizon where it's almost white, it's that color. And she has swirls of pure white over her skin that move like clouds themselves. And her hair, too, is that of a cloud that as she's running, little puffs of it will be disappearing. And I think Nimbus herself, as she's running, is going to be a little confused since she's hearing this but can't really see anything. We're seeing a bunch of white around and pretty much looking to see like a direction, something to guide her, or even trying to find a sense of maybe the winds against her sins, something to guide her in which direction she'd be going, or just kind of trusting the Storm Mother to lead her where she needs to be.
I gotcha. As you're making your way through this, kind of just going through the motions because you have to, because there's so much unknown, it's ahead of you, at the center of this tunnel of light, if that's what we're calling it, something primal and nearly formless thrums and shifts, a bolt of plasma, pure but primal. And I say nearly formless because though it at first appears random, chaotic, there is form to it. Deft legs, running without thought. Paws finding traction on nothing. A tail swaying with flippant abandon. It has been truly some time since you've been in the presence of the Gale Song. Do you continue to chase after?
Yeah, I'll keep moving.
She runs on, and as she runs and as your vision acclimates, finding the form of this fox that is made of pure lightning and storm energy. She runs on, excitement building. She skips from one side of the tunnel to the other, landing deftly, losing no pace whatsoever. And then lo, the tunnel dips down towards the water, spiraling down in a corkscrew, before thunder and force buffets you as shoot, tunnel arcs upward and you're gone. And as you ascend, rising higher and higher into the sky, looking over your shoulder, you notice thick gray clouds forming around a calm spot in the middle, and as you leave it behind, it begins to spin. Curving eastward, you pass over a chain of islands and are back out over the open ocean once more. Ahead of you, the gale song slides, shifting down and towards the south before arcing upwards to the heavens yet again. Below you, convection builds as storm clouds sprout and grow. Moving southward over verdant forest, mostly untouched by mankind, and ahead you notice just a bit to the further south, there, you can make out the twin peaks of Aranoth and Koranoth just coming into view. And below, so far below, the northernmost of Eloria's satellite settlements. As anxiousness stirs within you, Eloria is a wonderful place, no one can deny it, but it's not, at its best, a welcoming place. As these pillars of ascension come firmly into view, the gale song lets out a cry of fear, of pain, you don't know, you've never heard her make this sound before. Immediately, she turns on a silver piece and makes a hard right, heading back out over open ocean. And you hit the side of the tunnel, shattering out into a million motes of light. And you, Nimbus, are falling. What would you like to
Above Eloria?
You're a ways away.
Okay.
You're quite a ways away to the north, but you have your faculties about you, so anything you'd like to do, you're more than welcome to.
Can I roll perhaps another perception or maybe even an insight to see, do I get a sense of, could this be a dream or maybe a vision or something that I'm being granted to know, or if this is actually like me in the moment present.
Okay, roll me a perception check, absolutely. And you're in the presence of your god, so roll me a perception check with advantage.
Okay. 1 moment. 23.
23, fantastic. God, I love level 14, right? You manage to find the ground as you tumble and latch onto it, using it to orient yourself as you kind of twist through the air with foggy wisps of hair threatening to blind you. But as you struggle with the winds that you were born on, you see storm clouds, thick, black storm clouds roiling over Eloria. And you also know that that cannot be. So I'll say that while that may inform you of what's going on in this current moment, it still feels so real. But you are falling.
I think as I fall, my eyes will be like darting to try to find the Gale Song, any kind of sign of where her tail or anything, the foxy form of her might be. But also, I'm gonna let the winds of my fall just kind of like take me.
Okay.
And trust it. And using that time as I'm like, if I'm falling backwards and I'm looking up, I'll be looking for the Gale Song. But if as I'm like moving and then downwards, if I'm looking down at the ground, I will then be studying to see as much as I can. Like, I'm looking at those storms, like I'm sensing that this might be a warning. So I'm like, want to look at that. I want to see what I can and just take up as much time that I'm having to just pick out the little bits and pieces that I could see from this.
Perfect. And it is insane. We are so high up in the air that you can see for so far. There is a strong storm over the city of Eloria with winds being pulled into it. You can see vapor trails through the trees below you as water is pulled and yanked towards this source of pressure. And that feeling that you have in the back of your mind and your heart, where that storm resides inside of you forever, it seems further away than it ever has as you're falling and falling into darkness. And welcome, my friends, to the Tavern, and welcome to the Shadows of Eloria. We're going to do a sexy little moonwalk back in time to a different age, one where magic and the might of gods gave gifts to mortaldom so wondrous to behold that in our current age of Abhaile would simply be fantasy. While this will forever be known as the time when the gods came down and shone their light to many, rising up the great city-states, they stood as bastions of faith, fortresses of the righteous, and prisons to the faithful. One of those rose higher and faster than any other, though, and curiously, they did so by sheer willpower, artifice, and an understanding of the arcane weaves that cover the land like brushstrokes on canvas. No gods were needed for Eloria's ascent. And so, 800 years or so before Shala leads a troop of mismatched adventurers who'd later be known as the Heckraisers into the tropical forests of Miyamoto, we arrive at a city-state known as Eloria, far to the south on the continent of Cadenzia. So join us over the next month as we tell a story of a different kind, one that will perhaps not be known to the history books of the Infinium, one that will not go down told at hearths in taverns, but a story that perhaps should, held dear by a precious few, spoken aloud almost never. Welcome again to the Shadows of Eloria. Hey Nimbus, do you remember when you were falling?
Still falling.
With a thud that you never get to feel, you're back in your office at Coronath in the conservatory. It's mid-morning from the looks of your still steaming cup of tea sitting on your desk. A small spoon swirls its contents of its own volition. It sits among scrolls, missives, papers, and folios, an ever-flowing flood of information, demanding attention and adding wisps of gray to your already stressed-out hair with every new report that comes in. But hey, super glad to have you at the table. What's the vibe in here this morning?
Well, Nimbus's office is very, I imagine it being very open and free. Windows all around so that when I look up, I almost feel like I'm outside, even though I am currently trapped in my little box. The windows will be open, so there is a breeze coming in. It is a sea of, like, you know when your stuff is all messy, but it is organized mess? That is her office.
I'm living in it right now.
Yeah, there is like the piles of paper that need to be addressed. If someone random comes into her office, they're not gonna. It looks like it's exploded, but she knows exactly where all the little pieces are. There's gonna be plants hanging around, crawling up along the walls, and sunlight just beaming in.
Heck yeah, I dig it. It is truly a wonder, and for the rest of you guys that aren't familiar, the twin conservatories of Eloria are these massive domed, they're greenhouses is kind of what they are, that sit up the slopes a little bit of either of the two mountains. And Nimbus here is the high botanist of the Koronoth Conservatory, which is the furthest east, as I try to remember what directions are, just to kind of get everybody a little bit of familiarity here. But as you're sitting there collecting yourself, it's been a minute since the Gale Song has spoken to you in any capacity. What's kind of going through your head right now?
Maybe a bit shock, since it has been so long. Nimbus is sitting at that desk, that spoon swirling in her cup, and I think for a moment she's just in a bit of a shock of and just kind of recall that dream like feel that she was just in. To just remember every little bits and pieces of it, and it kind of puts a little like pep in her step now. Seeing that after so long is excited. I gonna take my cup, and I don't even, Nimbus isn't gonna drink. She's pretty much air. She's gonna stick her finger in there and just like, you'll see like the brown liquid of her tea just kind of just disappear into her own skin, like a little brief, the blue to brown, and it'll just disappear.
Drinking by osmosis. I love it.
Very much. And we'll just like set that aside to a pile where there's other teacups that are just kind of accumulated in the corner of her desk. And I'm going to want to get out of this little confines of my office. I'm going to want to, take that moment of, even though I feel that what I saw might have been a warning, I'm going to at least run on the highs of seeing the Scale Song and get out into the greenhouse and just kind of get that fresh air. And I'm going to start muttering my prayers as I'm doing it to send her thanks to have coming to visit me.
Yeah, and what a beautiful day it is in the greenhouse. And it's such a weird thing to say, a greenhouse. It is a wonder to behold in and of itself, as these two bulbs of crystal manage to create enough food for almost 1 million people. As you head out the door to your office, there is a small little antechamber type thing, or a foyer, however you want to look at it. It's really not an office in and of itself. It's kind of a landing on the stairs that go up to your office that's been a little bit repurposed into an office, where sits a young half-elven female wearing a long-sleeved turtleneck, dark colors, grays and blacks, over a spaghetti-strap short hem dress. And you recognize this immediately as your assistant, Jolie Carthy. And she looks up at you as you come out the door, and she's, "Oh, you're out early this morning?"
The wind be in your hands. I'm gonna go get a breath of fresh air.
Okay. I do have to it is a beautiful day, and Lord Fairweather has requested a slight inconvenience, maybe. They need like 400 floral centerpieces for the gala tonight. It's so last minute, but I told them it would be no problem. Is that okay?
I suppose I could do that. No. My schedule is so busy sometimes, so fair praise is all that I ask. I'll have to squeeze it in.
Perfect. But yeah, it is a beautiful day out here in the greenhouse. It's a weird day, as always, as you look out and see rows of apple trees that are just to the peak of maturity with ripe, gigantic apples grown on them, and they fall to the ground and wither as a new sprout begins to grow and push its way through the soil into the sky. It's pretty darn nifty to solve world hunger. But hey, we're gonna transition away for just a moment, but curiously not too far. So imagine, if you will, the camera drifting upwards just a few feet towards the top of the room. And if you've got no problem imagining that, try imagining us focusing on a tiny, invisible orb hanging in the air. And suddenly we're sucked into it, twisting discombobulated as we stretch and widen and move through the space, wholly unnaturally. And we're in a different place, across town, high above, in fact, in the crown of towers sitting atop the ivy locks resting over the Aeronath Conservatory. Here, in the illustrious Towers of Elise, we find ourselves in a small tower set off to the side, home to the Foreseen Sanctum and the Prognosticators Guild, and the workplace of Will's character. Hey, Will.
Hello.
Do you want to do me a favor and let us know what your character's up to this morning, now that your scrying ritual is complete? I gotta say, it doesn't look like she's in on whatever the project is.
So, hi, I'm Will. I play Alistair Weird, spelled W-Y-R-D. He is this high elven divination wizard who is very much the the archetypal very bombastic, very imposing wizardly figure. However, we see him in this moment without the kind of showman personality he puts on around people. In his office, there's like a cot in the corner where, even though he has the most luxurious home, he often doesn't go there, and he often just sleeps in his office, casting a as he working on after finishing the scrying, he cast a prestidigitation spell on his hair to basically clean like whatever oils came over there in the middle of the night, and basically replacing it with a light smell of rose and lavender. He has very pale white skin, very pale white hair for a high elf. And if you look at his freckles on his face, and in the right sunlight, they almost glitter like crystals, as his family is descended from Grishalax, a crystal great worm. And as he kind of absent-mindedly runs his fingers over his staff of power, carved from the very scales of Grishalax himself, and calls in the second sight, his assistant Crowley, and he's like, Crowley, can you come in real quick?
Absolutely. And holy cow, is it not amazing for a freaking wizard? Like, never have to take a shower again. Good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
In real life, prestidigitation is the cantrip I would want, because I would never have to take a shower. I could instantly clean the litter box. It's the best spell in the game.
I'm pretty sure you can use it to get rid of a murder scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, that's a word we're not supposed to say, sir.
Hey, we're far enough into. I feel like we're far enough into the video.
Oh yeah, we're good. They really only look at the first 5 minutes.
Edit some murder.
Heck yeah.
Murder, grape.
But absolutely, you're not even a moment, and the sorry, hang on just a second. We were talking about this thing, and that's the thing where, like, okay, so I have this, it's just a little tiny bit down. So the door opens a crack, and in pops the head of Crowley, and Crowley pokes his head in the door, and he's just, "You rang, sir?"
Yes. Can you get me whatever numbers you have on if people have any prophecies they need to disappear?
Oh, yes, I can do that, sir. He
Thank you.
scampers off for just a moment, and man, prophecies that need to disappear. What a trip! And
I also imagine his familiar Zircon hops up on the table. Zircon being the fattest, fluffiest, like pure white cat imaginable. And he starts full on like Disney villain petting the cat.
heck yeah, I just imagine this cat that's like, 'cause my aunt had one like this that was so portly and rotund that would be like sitting on its butt, as cats are wont to do, and it would have to like pick up fat rolls to clean itself.
I mean, honestly, yeah, I think that like I feel like Alistair has to sometimes hit the cat with the prestidigitation as well, just because he's too fat to clean himself.
He's glitching out a little bit, yeah. But man, yeah, it's
Talking in on an Australian accent was your personal help. Talking about lifting up fat rolls to clean, that's my personal.
hey man. But hey, yeah, not a couple moments later, Crowley returns to the room. It looks like for the moment we are good on prophecies for the moment. They're all still a little bit reeling over the and you just last week you had you done a pretty crazy deal. You actually closed a missing persons cold case that's been open for centuries. Well, I say closed. You solved it anyways. Unfortunately, Morwenna Lane, who is the Evocator Exemplar, who one of the High Archmages of the Ivory, and found it more beneficial that Grace Blackwell stay missing, allowing for her council seat to remain vacant. But unfortunately, we do not have anything concrete right now. There's always things to scry on for the eyes. There's things to scry on for the blades. It's a
Is there anyone?
more of the same, unfortunately.
Are there any appointments that we have today when it comes to people wanting a prophecy or wanting us to scry on some enemy or some rival country for them?
And speaking of that as well, very astute. Keeping a lid on the Madigan spies has been one of the biggest sinks of time over the last few weeks. Essentially, these they're kind of religious nut jobs from a neighboring city-state that just really don't care for you guys and the magic. And there are just constantly always interests and affiliated parties hiding out in the city looking for information or trying to cause a ruckus. But unfortunately, my lord, no, the gala that was just announced and scheduled immediately for this evening is kind of throwing everyone for a loop. Much of the one second. I got so many documents open here, it's insane. Anywho, most of the Council of Eyes is going to be at the gala, and they, quite frankly, they've kind of all taken the day off. I'm just here because it's my job to be.
Well, you're also and context for the audience. Crowley is my simulacrum. Basically, it is just an exact clone of me. Because who else could I trust but myself?
Hell yeah! Hey, and coming off of just casting a scry on one of your friends, I think that's perfect.
Yep. And I'm thinking about that at the moment, trying to see if they were working on that project of what I've been trying to very much be in the room where it happens to try and figure out what's going on with that. I'm like, you know what, it's a good thing that at least the rest of the Council of Eyes is taking the day off, because unfortunately, but someone has to be here to make sure that the Prognosticator Guild actually gets their attention that we care for and that we deserve.
Absolutely. But yeah, that is an interesting and complicated spiral of. It's been a messy decade since the day that Archmage Coalescence came to you begging to help her with extraplanar research. Can you make me a history check real quick, my friend?
Absolutely. History, I think, is one of the skills that I am best in. Plus 10 in that.
I think you're good at it, yeah. Holy cow.
That is an 11 plus 10 for a 21.
21, fantastic. You don't forget something like that. The first time in the history of Eloria where the ceremony of revelations was carried out not by the guild, but by the bloodlines, in secret and led by you. Where ordinary magic is like painting a beautiful portrait, the ceremony is like dumping a bucket of paint on a wall, leaving behind the Mona Lisa. Weaves of magic too great for a single mind to comprehend and channel, but together you saw the vastness of wild space and realms beyond your imagination. And then suddenly Val's a closed book for a decade, while working tirelessly building something grand in scope and unprecedented in sorcery. A little bit of a sore spot on a lifelong friendship for sure, but hey, it is the morning here in the beautiful Towers of Ascension where we're gods of our own design, right?
Yeah.
But hey, crazy. There's plenty of hours in the day, right? And there is plenty more of the guild spell charges to go through. So tapping into the latent magics that are enchanted and weaved and built into the very tower around you. Your eyes glass over, reflecting stars and constellations alien to the skies over Abhaile, and we're somewhere else again. Somewhere darker. The Undercity, it's gotta be. It's difficult to get one's bearings down here, especially through divination magic. Terrifying interference caused by Valdris's contraption throws off the alignment, and the calculations get really wonky from there. But with the seasoned touch of the eyeless gaze, the image snaps into focus. And you see two figures, drenched in shadow, embracing silently in a small apartment. The Undercity is home to hundreds of thousands, living in cramped apartments lit by arcane means alone. No sunlight filters down further than the first couple of levels, where those are fortunate enough to have skylights built into it from some of the more opulent plazas and gardens in the Crystal Crest district overhead. As your eyes adjust to the dim light, it becomes painfully obvious. They're not embracing. The shorter of the pair falls limp to the floor, and the remaining form slides a blade from the torso of the heap, now at their feet. Rain, do you want to do me the honor of describing your character as the human female form at your feet fades into their true form of a dark elf male in purple robes?
As you all know, I've been looking for this man for some time. Is my mic on? Okay,
It's on,
cool.
yeah.
As you know, I've been looking for this shapeshifter for quite some time. Finally can check him off my list. My name is Francis Aloysius Faust. Everyone just calls me Faust. I am the head of the Shadow Blade. You the Ghost Blade? I'm sorry. Did we decide on Ghost or Shadow?
I think it's Ghostblade. I honestly, I had
Thank
it
you.
written down nowhere as well.
Yes, exactly. I am the head of the Ghost Blade, which is the most elite of the spell swords in our fair kingdom. I am the hidden dagger that keeps our peace in our country and in our fair city. I ask for no praise. I just ask to be left alone to my own devices.
Faust, following up on information received from Alistair and the Prognosticators Guild, like always, your friend delivered accurate information. Still, there's always that moment right before your blade meets flesh where you have to wonder, is this right? But as the disguise of an ordinary citizen falls, now that the magic powering the disguise has faded, vindication. Still though, looking down over the corpse below you, citizen or spy, in the end, I guess it doesn't matter. Your oath is to the city. Not a singular citizen or two. Dozen. So, Faust, here within this small but well-appointed apartment, down 3 levels into the Undercity, having slain your quarry and presumably protected the secrecy of Archmage Coalescence's conduit project, what are you doing in this moment?
The first thing I'm doing is I'm checking this corpse for anything that I may find.
Perfect. Roll me an investigation.
And of course, I'm also looking for my token of this kill. Every kill I have, I take a small token.
Heck yeah.
So that person is not forgotten. You said that is an investigation check?
Absolutely, sir.
Yes, sir. That'll be a 17.
17. That is muy serviceable. One tiny brief second while I remember that I am actually using Foundry tonight. Activate. Perfect.
I love how we've gone from like Great Gatsby, like with what Mayor Wolfsky, to like full on like Blade Runner William Becker.
That's how it be, man.
Faust.
With a 17, you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is the 4th Madigan spy that you've slain in the past week. They are being emboldened by something. You can only assume that they've got something deep on the inside, or someone deep on the inside. They know the activation is upon us. We've checked off means and opportunity, but motive remains elusive, even to your seasoned eyes. But on a 17, you do find a number of things. There is a piece of parchment tucked into his inner robe, like lapel pocket, which has a language on it that that you would know the language of. It's one of those things where it's not an official D&D language, and I didn't prep you guys on any languages, so we're just gonna roll with it and assume that you guys definitely would know. The parchment reads, early tests have been completed successfully, expecting yields of 100,000 within 1 week of activation. It's kind of on a ripped piece of paper, and it's sitting next to a small green stone. You recognize this immediately as a sending stone. But as you study its intricately cut facets, the teardrop shape to it, it's been disenchanted hastily and recently. But Val might have some idea of what it is. And at the very least, if you need a token, it be a token.
Perfect.
Is there anything else that you want to do inside of this apartment right now? I would say from your scouting of the place, you know that this was a woman, is a man, lived alone, likely due to their
Awesome.
trade and nature.
I want to check for any secret doors, any hidden compartments, anything at all. Would I have found those with that 17?
Potentially, but we'll expand our search outward from the immediate scene to
okay.
a little bit of a. Give me a perception check.
Absolutely. Straight up 12.
12. It's a very Spartan apartment. There's a sofa or a couch that can be, like many places down here, we're talking 2 bedrooms at best, studio, 100%. So it's kind of like a hideaway bed type of situation. There's a few books on the shelf, but they're really just kind of like fillers, like you expect to see a Bible. Yeah.
Find anything, see if anything's tucked away, kind of knock on the floor, maybe feel around on the couch for any buttons. Looks like there's a dresser, see if I can feel anything that may be off, anything like that.
Hell yeah. There's one book. It is it's a really undescript red leather binding, thick tome. It's on the spine of it. It says treatise on transportation and teleportation. It's not uncommon whatsoever in Eloria to find spellbooks or instruction manuals, treaties, things like that. But that's not uncommon. What you do notice uncommon, still pulling off of that 17, is that there is a space, a gap between, an unevenness between the front and the back cover. Pulling the book off the shelf, immediately you let slip a key that falls out from inside the spine, pressed up in it. It's very small and ornate, copper with little accents of black metal of some type. It's hard to tell if it's iron or some type of transmuted steel, but have no idea what it goes to.
I look around for any kind of keyhole.
Okay.
Anything that may match.
Outside of the front door to the domicile, there are no keyholes present in the apartment.
Okay.
You're fairly certain that whatever it belongs to is probably
not this apartment.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to slide that into my chest pocket.
Perfect.
I'm going to allow my packed sword to dissipate, so it is gone. I do not have a weapon right now.
Okay.
And then I let's see. Do I have prestidigitation? I don't believe I do. But I proceed to get the hell out of there.
Heck yeah.
I cast invisibility on myself.
I love it.
And do so.
Heck yeah. So moving back into the shadows of walking in plain sight with the gift of your magic's cloaking and shielding you, the scrying ritual completes, leaving you back once more in the foreseen sanctum. Alistair, what's going on in your mind right now, having seen what we just saw play out?
So I just clarifying, I saw all of that, right?
100%. I'd say it would probably be difficult. If you want to make me a perception check, there's a chance you could have read the writing. This would be a pretty high DC, but it's worth a shot.
Yeah, I'll try.
This is how wizards always know everything.
Let's say, can I give him the help action?
Well,
Are you
24.
watching?
Will a 24 work?
24 is fantastic.
How about he sends me a message through a sending earring that we have?
I would say that on a 24, you you copy the early tests have been completed successfully, expecting yields of 100,000, and that's kind of where it cuts off because of the angle that he was holding it. So the within the 1 week of activation part is still in the wind to you.
Do I recognize the writing at all?
You would recognize it immediately as the Madigan script, and you know that, well, good lord, you spend a vast majority of your time and spell slots keeping tabs on that island nation.
Yeah.
They're,
Those are our main rivals, the people who hate our magic and everything.
yeah, they are a very faith-oriented city-state that is on a large island to your all southeast by quite some ways. But you guys are kind of their closest nearby, or one of their closest nearby terrestrial neighbors. But yeah, it's definitely of Madigan script, and it's nothing fancy. It's not like they didn't even take the time to use any good calligraphy or fancy ink or anything like that. It's kind of a shame.
I send that off to Val.
I like it. And 100%.
Just like, hey, we found this. Like, what does this mean to you? Something along the lines of that. And I think it's definitely through some like basically the magical equivalent of a VPN is what I imagine this is kind of through. Also, another thing, when a little bit of a retcon earlier, I have the telepathic feat, so when I was mentioning the illegal dealing type stuff with the hiding prophecies, that was through telepathy, so that no one knew about that. If anyone else was scrying in, because of course Alistair is a fucking paranoid person.
Hey, paranoid's important because paranoid keeps you alive.
Yeah, I send the content of that message to Val through the use of some kind of magical VPN.
Perfect. And we will in fact leave the tower once more.
What we're looking at right now, was that the apartment we were in, or is that my office?
That is the apartment that we were in in the Undercity. Actually, and I'm going to put us right back to your place, which I forgot to upload. The Force.
Yeah, that looks like it.
Fucking fancy as shit.
Ooh,
cute.
Fancy people. And I don't know if I did a really good job of explaining the way the city is laid out. I've at some point I'm going to actually have to hire somebody to really draw it out for me. But it's mountain peak, city in between. If this is west, this is Aeronath, the conservatory here, which is kind of on the level with the main ground level of the city. And above it is the Opal Gardens, which is where I believe all of you guys live. And then above that, even higher up the slope, is the Towers of Elise, which is where the Sanctum is, and as well as all the other bureaucratic centers of government. And then sprawling out 100 miles or so, there's little settlements here, little settlements there. Most of them are finicky factories and shit. That type of thing, like worker farms and things like that.
My Amazon workers.
Please don't tell me that they have to pee. They have to pee in bottles.
No, we have a cantrip for that.
They only get one banana per day, though.
You've heard of
this is some J.K. Rowling shit where they piss their pants and then magic
That's
it away.
right.
The wizard pissing.
Yeah.
But there was
Bitch
there's
just making shit up on the spot.
just have a bag of holding and just
A piss bag of holding.
500 pounds of it.
holding.
Objectively, I would rather piss my pants and then prestidigitation in a way than shit in a bag of holding.
Some of us still prefer to be civilized despite all of these magical innovations and just take a fucking shower.
Well, sometimes magic makes things easier, and some of us have actual things we need to be doing instead of tinkering with your machines.
If it ain't
Wouldn't
broke,
have-
don't fix it.
I'm gonna fix it if
Wouldn't
it's
have
broke.
to keep buying these expensive fucking potions to fix your hair if you just actually washed it. Your pH levels are fucked.
His hair doesn't actually move in the wind, it's just solid. It's like 1980s perm, just it's there.
I don't understand children these days.
But one of the things I like to imagine when it comes to the prestidigitation spell is that it will clean it, but it's my idea that when magic in D&D doesn't make things sure it'll clean it, but it'll strip some of the color away from it.
Yeah.
Or the idea that I have that magical food doesn't taste like anything. You're eating it and
your
it'll
brain
fill you up,
tells you that it's food and it tells you what it tastes like. That's the it's super it's been super starched and it's hyper rigid and it's my shirt doesn't bend anymore because I keep cantripping it.
Like the microwavable McDonald's meal pouch from Spy Kids.
Oh
yeah,
Spy Kids, man, good times.
I must have missed that one.
But anyways,
Yeah.
Go ahead and we'll get back into it afterwards.
It was going to be a dumb Spy Kids bit. Please go back.
Fair.
I love you, Alan Cumming.
I love dumb bits, but I'm down. But anyways, yeah, we will return and leaving the towers once more. We find ourselves below deck yet again. Nearly dead center between the twin peaks that make up the Towers of Ascension. On the first level of the Undercity, we find ourselves at the imposing double doors of, what is it, a cathedral or a religious site? That doesn't really seem accurate, but it is kind of what it looks like. Is it a theater or a venue space? It's hard to tell. Disrepair would be a stretch, but compared to the glitz and glam of the surface above, it's kind of downright dingy. Still, massive, sweeping Art Deco architectural lines frame these double doors, with shuttered and curtained windows facing what passes for a street in the Undercity. It's really sort of just tunnels and rock, but nice tunnels, you know. But yeah, this place is pretty interesting, at best. But interesting doesn't stop with design. Out front, in filthy, ripped clothing, a beggar stands leaned up against the wall, just to the right of the doorway. He stands with a slight hunch in his back, his gaze directed downward. The only thing he seems to have on his person is an old boot, which he may hold out to passers-by, hoping for a coin or a gemstone to fill his belly. Not that he eats coins and gemstones, but he might. Who knows? Freaking magical people. In the main thoroughfare, though, people walk past without word or mention, as right before the doors, a humming builds. Kind of a vroom, 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 vroom. And with a pop and muted flash, we see RJ's character teleport in. Hi, RJ. Can you do me a favor and tell us what we see pop in the space down here, basked in the light cast by a massive crystalline skylight overhead, throwing down a multi-hued display as if it were stained glass?
No. Anyway, everybody, me, Dr. Valtris Convalescence, the Sorceress Sophia of Eloria, the Weaver of Wills, and the Enchantress Primarch of the Ivory. She is also an Air Genasi, and significantly older than our friend Nimbus, though. She has a lot of gray hair kind of clouding around her. She resembles cauldron foam, but she's wearing a much more simple clothing than is common for Ergonasi. Like she's effectively in scrubs right now for all of the elegance and poise that comes from her station and how she carries herself. She doesn't put that into how she doesn't necessarily care about her clothes and what she's wearing when she has a job to do.
Well, 100%,
Um,
and you know, it's also the furthest thing in the world from rare to see magic thrown around in Eloria, especially with
mhm.
such abandon. So teleportation is nothing out of the ordinary, even here in the Undercity. In fact, in order to navigate some of the more complicated locales in Eloria, teleportation is necessary.
Mhm.
However, as an Archmage of the Ivory teleporting in, that might be something worth noting, which the garb surely helps with. But all the same, sorry, I've got Genasics on the brain. Val, would you care to make me a perception check, just to kind of make sure that all the eyes around you are
Absolutely.
supposed to be there?
Absolutely.
I,
Love to do that
I
for
said
you.
that wrong as well
I
because
would have
in my notes I wrote the word perception on purpose, and I did not say that.
perception.
Um, it's a Schmorteen.
Schmorteen, heck yeah. Um, Perfect. There is hundreds of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of square feet down here on the first level have been appropriated by the Ivory. So as you casually check your surroundings, you don't really know any of the 50 or so folks you see walking, making their way down the street. They're likely all engineers, artificers, and laborers who've been vetted by you and your staff, though. And ahead of
Mhm.
you, the standing next to the door, looking in a state of homelessness, is Ryth, who you notice is one of Faust's men, who has been posted to guard the pump room. And he probably, looking at him on a 14, you don't smell it, but he probably doesn't smell great. Method
Mhm.
actors, right?
Had many conversations with him.
It's, you're like, it's not necessary. You can, here's soap. And he's like, no, I gotta look the part. But, heck yeah.
It's like, before you come to work, though,
Do you,
go ahead and
do you,
prestidigitate.
do you go inside, Val?
I do. I do go inside.
Kick-ass. As you approach, the doors, recognizing you, automatically part, revealing a layer of, like a skin of darkness within. Pure darkness. No light can pass through, but as you press through the threshold, the darkness immediately fades as your eyes are forced yet again to acclimate to the brightness of the interior. And the pump room it's a no-nonsense conversion of space. Dominating the large central room stand 4 massive crystalline pillars running from floor to ceiling. These things are huge. They're not they're empty. They're clear. You can see through them, but they're quite beautiful and quite intricate. And
Ooh,
this kind of camera it appropriately. Perfect. And we're back. And
Ooh.
though inert and empty, they stand ready to funnel energy up into the greater system of conduit running through the city and beyond. And at the very heart of the room, beneath a massive organic crystal heart of glowing soft blues and jagged uncut edges. We see Finiki's character tirelessly putting the final touches on their largest contribution to this whole ordeal, the conflux transducer. Finiki, do you want to introduce us to the absurdity that is your character?
Oh god. Alright, so Finicky, I play an artificer. I guess autognome, I think that's what I decided on. Named Corbin. He thinks he's clever. He makes things, obviously. What he looks like. Like I said, I don't know, so his entire body is just basically, it's all metal. It's all just armor, walking armor, if you want to put it that way. Just to look the part of a businessman, because that's what he is, and in his deep, dark, black heart. He wears like a whole like business attire. He wears a suit coat, he's got a little pocket square, he's got a little vest and a tie. He wears pants, why? Who knows? So he dresses the part. His head, completely glass dome. Inside of it, all you see is just these two floating eyes, attached by the nerve endings to his brain. As far as anybody can tell, that's the only organic parts of him. How does he speak? Nobody knows, nobody cares, but he does. So he hears somebody enter behind him. The eyes move before the rest of him, and he turns and sees Val, and then turns back to his work, and says back over his shoulder, "Look, I'm telling you, if you just fill these things with fish for the time being, at least it would look nice."
Corbin, I am putting on my notes that this is the 50th time you've suggested this, and the 49th time I have completely ignored this suggestion. We are not repeating the incident.
One time, and I told you, we worked on it, my guys have figured that whole thing out, and look, it's just fish. You can get more from, like, some bodies of water. I don't know where they got them from.
It took days.
You're not doing anything, you're just
get
moping
all
around.
of the water out of this very sensitive magical equipment.
Yeah.
This is
No
everything I
vision.
wanted.
No vision.
New vision.
My face hurts.
So,
Heck yeah.
what have you been up to this morning? Because I've been in here in your dank, dark dungeon, not having fun.
Am I
weren't.
scrying on this right now?
Interestingly, we are
Just the
we're waiting
one
on
place?
the it is the one place.
Take that, voyeur.
But we're in just a moment we're gonna resolve some things. But heck yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
And then so what you've been up to, I've been here the whole time, I'm like, yes, and we were only scheduled to meet up at approximately 7:15 a.m. and you look like you've been here since Wednesday. So that's fun for you. I personally slept like an entity that needs sleep, but I suppose you don't have hobbies outside of this, which is good for our productivity. So have you gone through any of the scheduled maintenance while you've been here?
Let's say I have. Just so I don't have to hear you tell me that I should be doing that.
Would it be true if we said that?
It's true if you really believe it.
And
Oh dear
Corbin,
fuck.
Corbin, do you want to roll me a let's call it a history check?
A history check.
Oh, Corbin.
Yeah, Corbin.
Corbin.
Yeah, this was a whole thing. This was a whole thing.
Yes.
Wednesday night, we're like sitting here recording our normal game with Corvin, and Corbin rolls, and I'm like, those are really pretty dice. I wonder who those are, and I'm like, oh, that's finicky.
Sorry, I
No,
didn't realize
it was
y'all did.
totally fine.
No, you were fine. It was funny. through one of our characters who just started. He kept on calling me Corbin because he saw it popping up on there. I'm like,
Which is
Actually,
hilarious because I'm like,
Hmm.
one of them's a white dude and one of them's a head in a jar.
It's funny because you had asked like if I had names for like any employee or something like that, and I was like, I can have like someone a manager type, and I'm trying to think of a name for him. But I was like, I'll call him Barnaby, except I call him Barney. And then I noticed you had like an NPC called Barnabas, and I was like, why do I keep picking names that are being used in his other shit?
White guy
No.
and head are the two genders.
I have this problem as well many times where I will do something and then somebody else will do the same thing, and I'm just like, well, now it looks like I didn't do it originally. It sucks.
I know. Yeah.
But, interestingly, what was that history roll?
It was a measly 9.
A measly 9. That's cool. Because... Bear with me for a second.
Okay.
It's
I'm terrified.
It is insane that you brought up your coworker.
Okay.
So truly, this is divine intervention. Because in fact, one of the things I'm gonna snip this part. One of the maybe I will. I don't know. One of the things I'm trying to do is make through lines. So the important characters exist that will be remembered, but not for necessarily doing anything important, just for not being here. Which is, it's so insane that you say that because with a 9, it's been a while. You've been in here, you've been kind of busy cranking on this thing. You guys have been working your ass off for a decade, but this close to the end, this close to making sure it's all done, it's long hours have been required. And even Val, you know that you're just having a good fun time teasing the robot, but having resources is one of the greatest perks to being Corbin, in the fact that anything you really need, you can have it and have it get done, and have it get done without having to touch it, which is the best. Like, you can just snap your fingers and say, do this, and 14 people are jumping to say, I'm gonna do it. Why else would you ever want to be in charge if not for that simple thing alone? So yeah, you've been in here for a minute, but interestingly enough, while you've been in here, you've also planned an entire gala this evening with very little effort on your part, celebrating the actual completion of this project, mostly spearheaded by your most trusted advisor and assistant and a longtime friend, I would say, Mr. Barnabas Smythe.
Yeah.
Is
Barney.
It is a super interesting through line. He is in the present time of Abhaile, he is one of the oldest living beings. And he came from somewhere. Interesting things that come together, but yeah, you've got this whole gala planned this evening at the Nine-Pointed Star, which is an outdoor venue space up on the terrace, which is just a freaking dope outside place to hang out, especially in Eloria, where there's no weather here. It's 75 degrees and clear year round. It's fantastic until you go insane, because you just really want to look at snow. And then as you guys are having this little exchange, Valtris, you have, I'm assuming with your station, a great many sending stones on your person at any time. It's about this moment where one of them lights, and your sending stones are a little bit special as the highest of enchanters in the city of Eloria. You pride yourself on a great many things, secrecy being paramount among those. So your sending stone collection have a fun little ability to. If you're familiar with the cantrip Encode Thoughts, it's a really awesome little piece of thing to torment your DM with if they're not aware of it. Where you can basically generate a thought tape, kind of like a Harry Potter thought thread. And those who are gifted have the ability to interpret and extrapolate on that. And your sending stones have the ability to be verbal as well as generate secure parcels of information. And in fact, one of them does alight from Alistair. And it's in the form of text. And it says, if we don't remember, I will go to it if I can find it in my, good lordy. Early tests have been completed successfully, expecting yields of 100,000 within, and then it cuts off there. Did you include anything else in that, Alistair?
I was like, Faust picked this up from someone. Does this mean anything to you?
And then including the text.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's just it's like,
Did I?
hey, take a look at this picture, and it's like, I'm waiting for it to load, and it's like 3 days later, I'm like, there is no picture.
I also think that Alistair is the kind of person who overuses emojis. So there's like 3 of like, the like eyes emojis with that as well.
There's a little detective guy.
A little detective eyes, smiley face, question mark.
Wink emoji, eggplant, no.
Why the fuck did you include this? Oh, hello. Sorry, Ophelia just jumped on my entire setup. It's like, I don't care for the emojis, but this might be important. And then I'd love to make whatever sort of check I need to determine if this is important or relevant to me.
Absolutely. That will be in, let's call it an insight check.
I would love it if we called it an insight check.
Absolutely.
Then I could roll insight.
Now, we can call it a rubber
I
duck if
can
you'd
get-
like.
Okay, so I got 18 rubber ducks.
18 rubber ducks. That's a lot of rubber ducks. It's more than I have.
They're magic
Those on the
tactical and they
cheap.
backflip.
Fire breathing?
I would say that, Val, it definitely piques your curiosity, and not necessarily for the information present. It's a lot of information, but it's a lot of kind of nothing. It sure could be something, but what you've got is not helpful. However, him including that it came from Faust does indicate that, because Faust has been, I don't want to say attached at the hip to you since the project began, but his Ghostblade order has been assigned to be your all's personal protection and security throughout this whole ordeal, and you're kind of well aware that they've been heavily involved with the Prognosticators Guild in finding these Madigan spies that are trying to infiltrate into the project, and he's been hunting them down, kind of unceremoniously dispatching them for the sake of secrecy, a little Cold War style. And in fact, yeah, this is, if it came from that line of thought,
I
it
could
is,
infer that this was Madigan spy work.
Yeah, and it's not. I don't want to mislead you. I think there's a bunch of spies in town, and kind of nobody cares. Like, they're
Yeah.
easy enough to deal with. They're you know. They're the little brother that wants to play video games with you, but you give them a controller that's not plugged in, kind of thing. They're not anything to worry about, but it is annoying.
Go through each and every report of a new spy, and most of it's just pissed off neighbors at each other.
I have a second, much less important project that I'm pretending it is the real project to fuck with them.
It's a big giant room, and in the very center of that room is just a tiny little monkey with cymbals. Just
It's just a massive tank full of fish.
And we trained all of the fish. That's where we put the fish after the fish event.
Fucking clownfish up in there.
good lord.
All of the clownfish telepathically flip you off when you get into the room. Incredible.
It's so good. This is perfect.
So,
Perfect.
Alistair has offered me
One of them
basically
cast
nothing.
old person, so it has to stay there and like watch you flip them off.
It's terrifying cosmically.
And I'll say,
well, don't spy on Antria.
I'll say Val. I'll say that with that 18 insight, also inciting your friend Alistair, it's likely more of a notice me senpai. It's likely more of hey, remember, I'm here, and unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at it, which is completely up to you, there is, we are fast approaching within 12 to 14 hours of the moment when we're going to have to bring him back into the project. It's the type of thing that you know that he is critical for the activation. So it might just be, at the very least, a good reminder of while this is a momentous and wonderful day, there's still quite a bit of hard work to get done.
It's very much Alistair being very like not power hungry, but like kind of like that like urge to like, you know, like hey, I want to be a part of this. Like
I'm here too.
Can I please see inside the one room that I can't see inside? Just
your ambition is showing.
I think.
It's already showing.
Oh my god. I think that after reading that, it's like, cool, this is a bunch of information that I 75% knew already, and 25% is so irrelevant to me at this point because I have this giant thing that I'm working on, and you're just kind of bothering me. I'm gonna go in with K period one thumbs up emoji, and then put the sending stone back and go back to checking on the tubes.
Alistair, take a point of fire damage from that burn.
Jesus Christ.
Oh.
I'll take a point of psychic damage for the mental anguish that put me through.
You guys are in the pump room, and I would say about this time, it's probably around. Time is a weird wibbly wobbly soup, but it's probably a little bit before noon, a little bit before midday, and right around midday is when the guards rotation changes, and Faust, you in fact find yourself on the first floor of the Undercity, making your way towards the pump room about this moment.
Now, by pump room, do you mean my bedroom or the actual pump room?
I mean the actual pump room where we are currently at, sir.
Gotcha, because that's also what I call my house. You know, singles or Faust is a single guy.
Yeah, you know. So the not pump
Such
room.
an idiot. Don't mind me. I am sorry. I've been sitting on that joke since the first time you said pump room when I had to.
I dig it. I dig it.
He's over being okay. We're going to remove this time and this time.
Nah, I'm keeping it in, man. This is great content. But anywho, as you guys, so I'd say, Faust, as you're kind of making your way towards the place, as you guys are in here, having a good time, but, you know, there is still critical calculations that need to be finalized. And while most of it is, the type of thing that can be handled, like a lot of what's going on here. Sorry, I have to pull up a document. Switch my notes over here.
So since you said magic is so relevant in this area, would there be suggest to say that a guy like myself would have access to scrolls of scrying? People have, scryed a spell on it for you to use later. Would I have access?
It is definitely a thing that can be easily obtained.
Perfect, because can we kind of retcon something here? As we walk into my office, there's a perfect copy of me. Not a perfect copy, you can see the flaws, you can see the differences, and a scroll on the desk labeled Sima Slack Rum. Underneath it just says, let your simulacrum do the job so you can slack.
Uncle Owen, this R2 unit's got a bad motivator.
I'm sorry.
God.
I couldn't help.
But I want to get a proud of that one. To pick up power converters.
I am very proud of that horrible dad joke.
That's homebrew worthy, actually.
Thank you, sir.
But yeah, so the to get into a little bit of the nitty gritty on the interplanar conduit, the conduit part is the conduit part and the transducer. That is Corbin's baby. The conduit is simple crystalline pipe that spans hundreds of miles, honestly, making a round trip out towards the ocean, up the coast, and then also down the coast before going back to the land and meeting in the middle. So it's kind of like a big radiator situation. There are a few other interesting bits and bobs that make up the larger contraption. The Celestial Harmonizer is it's kind of the optic on top of the barrel. That's what we're going to need Alistair for later in the day for the activation. That is where you target your intended destination, and then Corbin's transducer kind of sucks all the energy through, filling the conduit. But we have a few things to be preparing for. So can you guys... can I get you both, Corbin and Val, to make me Arcana checks, please?
Absolutely.
Arcana.
Stop sucking.
So good. Heck yeah.
I love having a green modifier.
It's so awesome, isn't
Because
it?
because I can roll like poo garbage and then still get an actual usable number.
Absolutely. So heck yeah, with an 18 or 19. 19 from Mr. Corbin and 11 from Val. So what we're doing right now is we are essentially performing an integrity test, which it's kind of... I mean, let's face it, you guys have been working on this for 10 years. This is a moot point. but it's kind of a bureaucracy is heavily entrenched in this process and this project, and they need boxes checked and things ticked off. It's annoying. It's borderline unheard of. They're questioning your work at every turn, it seems like. But, you know, they have reasons, I guess. You are essentially turning on the transducer for a dry run here. And this dry run is... Look, what these things are designed for is trapping unkeyed raw ether from wild space between realms. There is no parallel in all of mortal kind that can even hold a candle to that power. So the fact that they want you to run a stress test is it's a little more than a little insane. But they do. And in fact, as Faust enters the pump room, carrying a large black metal box. This is the closest approximation we can come to giving this system a little bit of a stress test. And so, knowing what this is, you're Faust. You, if you wouldn't mind being so kind as to deliver the box to the good doctor and her associate. Inside, we'll find... Val, I think you should probably be the one to do this. Would you give me an... actually, give me 10 seconds, because actually there's an item that I have to look up.
I can absolutely give you 10 seconds, starting now. 9.
Perfect.
And Faust all the time is thinking, I don't think I've been killing people. Now I'm their personal delivery guy.
Hey man, Warlock Pacts, right? I gotta see if... I'm just trying to see if there's anything specific that... Perfect. Val, can you give me just a... either an intelligence or arcana check? This is separate and very specialized from the one we just previously made.
Yep, I'm gonna go ahead and roll arcana. Okay.
15. Perfect.
What's it?
Okay, so as you kind of like hold out your hand towards the box, you know what this is. It opens, and floating out is a perfect sphere of purple energy that crackles when it's exposed to the open air. You immediately recognize this, and all of you would, in fact. It's kind of a terrifying situation. This is a sphere of annihilation. And the idea here is to load this into the transducer to make sure that the conduit can hold. So we're going to have a little fun. So, interesting. What I will need from you, Val, is a D100 roll.
Absolutely, I can do that. Ophelia doesn't think I can do it, but I think that if I click the button, I can do it.
Cat Bane is a real thing. 65.
Why'd you give me Bane? That better have been a good roll.
I believe it was. In fact, it was. There is a pretty darn decent margin for
Right.
error when it's a controlled sphere that you're familiar with. Corbin, as you open up a little access hatch into the main body of the transducer, the orb almost wants to go in it of its own accord. The conduit is a vacuum. It is a negative space, essentially. It's kind of the whole thing. It's a pressurized system that wants to draw magic into it. And sure enough, it goes in, and there is a massive rumble beneath your feet. And a very mechanical series of clicks and tings that engage things moving behind the walls underneath you, and in the two innermost pillars, purple light shoots, and in the two outermost pillars, purple light shoots down, and then it's quiet and it's still.
Well, no one's dead, so that's a great first sign. Are there Are there any, I suppose, investigate it, see if there are any other signs of if it hurt the machine at all, or if it was able to contain that?
Yeah, absolutely. Give me an investigation check, and Corbin, if you want to as well, you're more than welcome. Or you can do an assist thing. You guys, what we're seeing dice. Ooh, good rolls, both of ya.
Woo!
Heck yeah.
How about I assist and give them both advantage?
You know what? I'm here for it. You guys can each roll one more if you'd like. Investigation each, and we'll see if we can beat that. 24, 25. Man, these.
Yeah, I didn't beat it, but my first one was good.
You first ones are amazing. Heck yeah.
I helped.
Absolutely, Faust.
Shake and bake, baby.
Congratulations.
I'm glad
you
someone
helped.
got that reference.
Heck yeah. As the purple light subsides and the system returns to a baseline, the sound's quiet. The crystal heart at the center of the transducer pulses, and a readout appears hovering in midair through a modified skywrite or a minor illusion or some type of cantrip programmed in, and it records nominal. It records 0.0258% capacity reached, and then distilled. So the and then Val with a 25 or 21. Val with a 21. The looking at the intricacies of the crystal tubes inside the room, there appears to be no damage. It looks like nothing's ever. There is a weirdly subtle scent in the air of slightly burning. Sorry, I did not mean to burp onto you guys. Of slightly burning fish.
Okay.
As the main machine begins.
We left one in there.
cleaning out the cobwebs is all. But yeah, no, it is. Again, it's nothing for a stress test. Such a low amount of capacity reached. And the whole idea of it is that the system is constantly kicking out the excess magic so that there is never a buildup of capacity past critical. But it seemed to do its job. It shows that it was able to safely diffuse the energy after it transmitted it. Val, there doesn't appear to be any type of mechanical damage or any errant arcane surges or anything like that. It's shit. It's working. Now that's all that's left to do is point it into the heavens
perfect.
and go fishing. God, I hate that fish are becoming a theme here. Love it.
We can fish everything now.
Corin just starts like laughing maniacally and just starts just like pelvic thrusting. He's like, oh, that's so good.
And that is the 17th time I told you to not thrust in front of the equipment, or me for that matter. And
He just goes up to, he's just caressing it. Oh, baby. No lips.
Faust walks
Tink.
up and
He's
puts
his
the
tink,
hand
tink,
on his
tink.
robotic shoulder and goes,
This
dude,
is glass.
we talked about this. We've talked about this.
You
Come
did
on,
so
man.
good, baby. You did
we
so
talked
good.
about this
Hey,
17
hey,
times.
hey! Do not make me do something about this. Walk away. Put that away and just turn around and walk back.
The equipment is a thing of beauty, but we do not need to be vulgar about it.
There's nothing.
You know, it is.
Excuse me.
It
Excuse
doesn't
me.
have
There
a
is
female
nothing
port
vulgar.
for your male port, so just take a step back, all right?
She's got every
hate
port
this place.
designed.
Not that specific AV port, all right?
She's got adapters.
I got adapters, baby.
Got an HDMI cable. You need that.
I got an all-purpose tool, baby. I can do what I want with
Hey,
it.
no
We
one,
need to leave you
no one
and
needs to
Machine
know.
alone for a minute.
no one needs to know why you can hook yourself up to the machine.
I secretly reach into my pocket and I grab the PA system and I hit play and everyone hears you going, yeah, baby, let's get... No, I'm just...
It's nothing.
You
That
don't
would
But
be
have
the
access to
opposite
the
of
PA
security.
system.
it's
I've told you at least 3 times.
that tracks. And it's also probably
good
not the
trick,
first,
too.
third, or fourth time that Corbin has pelvic thrusted around the populace of
Absolutely
Eloria. They're kind of used.
No.
I lost track for that one. My count of 17 is just for in this room around
Right?
Just
the
now.
egregiously expensive magical equipment that we've poured our blood, sweat, and tears into. And fish. We lost some good fish.
Oh, I do like that I was right though. In my head, magic, unknown magic, is purple. I always knew somewhere deep down. I always knew wild magic. The unknown.
All we had to do.
It was purple.
All we
All
had
we
to
had to
do was
do was-
almost destroy the planet.
And sacrifice a bunch of fish. Those goddamn red-blooded Elorians.
Making them sound like the Tuskegee Airmen. You're just like sending
Now
them
we-
off for...
This is where we find out that where all the missing Triton went.
They're suspiciously not here.
Oh!
What does that mean for Poissonarians?
You wondered how your cat got so fat, though. Eating fish.
In the neighborhood. But yeah, just as a reminder as well, as Faust enters behind you guys, if you
Excuse me.
wanted to, now would be an opportunity to elaborate on that message if you wanted to. Or we could save that for another time.
I'm going to walk up to RJ. I've already written it down in my notebook, and I'm going to hand that over to her. Or, I'm sorry, Val. I'm going to hand it over to Val, that little piece of paper.
Oh, the whole thing, I got you. Perfect.
Yeah, I've already written it down. I've got all my information. Perfect copy of it. I found
Well,
it.
aren't
For the
you?
corpses. Can you make anything out of it?
Well, aren't you efficient? I just pick it up and then I start reading what what it says after the terrible screenshot Alistair gave me
Yes.
to see if any of it's relevant.
And then, yeah, one more time in its completion, a piece of parchment reading, early tests have been completed successfully, expecting yields of 100,000 within 1 week of activation. And that part at the end is what hangs you up, Val. How do they know when you're activating the device? That's a big unanswered question.
Where exactly did you pick this up?
Corpse.
And because I didn't include this in Faust's introduction, I will elaborate. This would be on the third level of the Undercity towards the Koronoth, or the... God, I have so much trouble with which is such a weird thing. I have so much trouble with directions. And the crazy thing is, I can tell you right now that that direction right there that I'm pointing to that you can't see with my hand is north. I always know. I'm oriented in the real world, and in my fake world, I can't do it. It'll be
Need a fourth screen just to have the map pulled up.
I really do. I really want to get somebody to do like an oil painting for me. Like that's my
Do a print for it.
That would be so cool.
when
I
I make it to the big leagues, I'm gonna. That's
Jake, I can get a giant tabletop mat, like a mouse pad, with it printed on it for you, buddy.
I don't want
Gotcha.
it. I want an oil painting, like gilded frame and like actual like texture to it. Like I want somebody to spend
Well,
half a
that'll
year
go
on
on-
it.
Layers.
That'll go on the wall behind the receptionist at the publications office.
Which and actually, the mountains that Koronoth and Aeronoth are part of, the mountain chain, are known as the Impast Pillars, which is an artistic technique of layering paint onto the canvas to create texture. Just an interesting side note.
Neat.
But yeah. So, anyways,
I found it on the third level on a corpse.
The corpse of.
That's kind of classified information. I can't let you know who or what I take care of. I'm just bringing you the information that I can.
Well, this is classified information that you just brought me.
I said I can't tell you who
undoubtedly.
or why I kill, but I can bring you the information that I find pertinent, and I think that you should probably take care of or know about this.
Well, all right. I mean, I've been given a piece of paper that
Came off
basically
of
says that
most
someone,
likely a spy.
a spy, somehow knows about my life's work. And that's pretty terrible for the city and all of that. So I guess I just stew with that now.
Well, if you can tell me anyone you think maybe suspicious, acting out of character, maybe came into some money that they were looking for, anything you can tell me about the people working with you, that's my job to hunt down this spy. And where the leaks are coming from.
Well, we've been keeping everything extraordinarily hush-hush. I mean,
and that's the crazy part.
besides.
And here's the piece of paper that shows that despite all of your efforts, it's not working.
That's the crazy part. It is
Grand.
to your knowledge, Val, it is you and Corbin and Faust who have access to this inner sanctum here. There's a handful of ghost blades that rotate shift outside. Sometimes they're handling similar things to what Faust's off doing. They're weird. And then there are a ton of people that have been involved in the actual process of building and installing the conduit all throughout the city. Well, there's roll me just a straight intelligence check, Val.
You got it. Can I actually? Oh, I gotta figure out. Alright. Figured out.
Guy, believe it in you. Hey, 17.
Hooray!
There is one other possibility that's kind of an uncomfortable one. There are, excluding the aforementioned, what was that person's title? 10 seconds. Including the aforementioned missing Weaver of the Fifth, there are 8 other archmages that sit on the Ivory Council.
Mm-hmm.
Any one of them has the authority and power to know too much, but that being kind of an unavoidable byproduct of having the project funded completely through them, or at least a majority through them.
Mm-hmm.
So that is another possible source of a leak.
Which is so super fun.
Absolutely.
She's got the most massive fucking headache right now. It's like, this is literally the last minute, the most inopportune time this can happen. She doesn't even have, in her mind right now at least, the time to even deal with this properly, because she basically has to be in here making sure that everything's going okay
That's
with
what you
the
have.
conduit.
That's what you have me and my boys for.
Hell yeah. Real quick, we are going to transition away from here for just a moment, and we're going to make our way back to the conservatory on Coronath. Nimbus, out having your enjoying your morning walk through the beautiful fields that kind of have that that halo effect to them, where as the and it's because we're talking, doing some mental math in my head here, we're probably talking each of the conservatories is probably 3/4 of a mile long, from one end to another, going up the slope of the mountainside. So as you kind of walk, it's an uphill walk, but it's a pleasant walk. But it kind of wants to go up the slope with vegetation. It's pretty trippy, and then the way it kind of reflects off of the ceiling high overhead in crystal. Nimbus. It's a beautiful day. It's a little bit obnoxious, actually, though, as you get about midway, just kind of walking along one of the rows of crop. There is a group of people that are finishing their work. They're not employees of the conservatory, but rather they're the laborers that are finishing work on the conduit that attaches to the conservatory. This is a massive undertaking that's been going on, and anything of importance in the city, including the conservatories, is essentially being plumbed and ready to accept this power coming in. How does that make Nimbus feel? Knowing that there's like an external force coming into, number one, into her domain, as it were, and into her life, and making noise and chiseling away at the floor and hooking up equipment. But at the same time, it's wild. Like,
the hair, like her cloud hair, was like been stormy when she first woke up, but as she was walking, it cleared up to this normal, your simple fluffy white clouds in the sky. But hearing this noise disrupt her walk, her morning meditations. During this walk, she's doing a lot of her typical morning rituals. She's saying prayers to the gale storm. She's doing a ritual that lets her speak to the animals, and just kind of sending her general thanks. So when these sounds just interrupt that, there's instant little static and little shoots of lightning through her hair. Other than that, her face looks pleasant. She herself, the way she holds herself, is really light and flowy. I imagine her feet kind of hover above the ground as she walks, so her dress, it doesn't touch the dirt. It just kind of floats behind her. So it's her hair that gives away that irritation to the sounds of the people working in her, kind of her oasis in a way.
heck yeah. And it's no, without even having to roll a history check, it's no, this is crazy. The high botanist of the Aeronaut Conservatory on the other side of town is a half-elven woman named Alani Makani. She is well, in the higher ups of Eloria, Alani is one of the most vocal opponents of the entire project. She is not violently in any way, shape, or form. She is a very peaceful and serene woman, kind of like yourself. However, she is just to the point where you're, at one point recently, were concerned that she might just walk out and quit. Just infuriated that, because you guys have been, and I say you guys as like the royal you guys, as in the conservatory, have been mastering the art of creation for centuries. You guys have really nailed it, how you can take from the world without taking too much from the world, and create something to help the people grow and thrive and prosper. And then they're just coming in with all this equipment and saying, that's not necessary. It's cool what you've done, but we can just plug in this extension cord and just take care of it all. It's demeaning to the art, it's demeaning to the art, and it's an affront to the nature that you try your hardest to protect, even in this altered form. So yeah, it is a controversial thing indeed amongst even some of the higher ups of the city. But man, there's opportunity there. It's kind of hard to ignore, and especially with all the work that's been done. But as you, I'd say, continue walking for a little ways, you make your way towards a little set-aside area where some of the most gorgeous and beautiful floral arrangements, not floral arrangements, flowers are growing. You make the floral arrangements with the flowers. That's how that works. I know how flowers work. Anywho, it is, it's a wide area that producing a lot of food is something that you guys are really good at. Producing a lot of money, on the other hand, to maintain all of this and maintain the pay for the workers who have to go out and harvest everything, because God forbid we come up with some weird contraption that like lets the fruit fall perfectly from the tree onto the conveyor belt and into the box. Although Corbin might be able to help you out with that. I feel like Amazon sells a setup like that. But
no, but I know how to build it in Minecraft.
that's terrifying. Flowers are money. And when Jolie came to you this morning, earlier, inquiring about the possibility of some extra floral arrangements for the gala, it's the type of thing where it's annoying, it's an inconvenience, it's last minute, but it's also a lot of money coming into the pockets of the conservatory that will benefit everyone, paying multiple people's salaries for a good time. And for those that are unaware, conjured flowers in Eloria are a little bit of a status symbol. Everything is transmuted or conjured marble and stone and gold and hard lines and cold temperatures, in aesthetic at least, not in overall environment. But flowers are something that can change with your mood, change with the seasons, change to fit the occasion, and can be grown to any specification whatsoever as long as there's creativity behind it. And this is the secret to the success of the conservatory, honestly, because none of this would be possible without the money to keep it going. Hungry people do not pay the bills, unfortunately. Or I guess they do, in a roundabout way. But anyways, you're seeing ahead of you, Jolie is actually marshaling the workers that are on shift today, getting them all out of the fields. The fruits will be okay, the grains will be fine, but this has to be handled immediately for the setting up of the gala tonight, which is a huge undertaking on Corbin's behalf. So in the meantime, Nimbus, is there anything that you would like to do with the rest of your day?
So, I mean, as we were walking, I saw those laborers working on that. Nimbus likely would have paused her walk and just awkwardly stood there and stared at them all as they were tinkering away, just to the point of making them uncomfortable.
Oh, I love it.
Like, just, occasionally making little comments about, your breeze, your sails look a little deflated. And just little things like that, just to set them off the tone. But eventually she'll walk up, and that's I was hoping was heading to the flowers. She's moving, getting close to all the flora and all that to begin the 400 centerpieces for Fairweather. She'll be casting Druidcraft to. She has a little pouch around her dress, kind of like a very fancier version of a fanny pack, where she'll open it up. She'll open it up, and there's seeds inside where she's like pulling them out, and she'll just kind of cast them out before her and Druidcraft to grow these flowers, where she will start the centerpieces, but at the same time she has conjured some animals around that she allows to live in the conservatory, and all of them have a slight similar appearance of a whiteness, kind of cloud white. So one's like a snowy owl, a white eagle, a white fox just as a. She likes to keep that one around for the Gale song. A white rat, a white squirrel, up to a total of 8 of them
Okay.
around. And she's like, I've got to make my bouquets for my friends. And she's gonna start actually making bouquets for all of you. Ones for that matches that she thinks you guys are gonna want. Like Alistair is gonna get the most expensive flowers that she knows for seeds wise to grow them out. So they're gonna be like, I don't even know flower wise of what might be some very expensive ones out there.
The pretty
But-
ones.
Very pretty. So yeah, she's gonna pick she'll probably pick some blue ones for Corbin because they'll remind her of the water that's in his jar. Maybe some darker ones for Faust and something like cauldron esque for air for the Genasi for Val. And I imagine some cool greeneries is with hers, but all of them is also gonna have yellow roses for friendships, and she's gonna send her little creatures. She does this quite frequently.
Yeah.
To all of you, but before she sends them all out, she will she speaks to all of them and be like, just kind of seeing how their days are. But she's like, if they're up to anything, just let me know. As to kind of use it as a way to them bringing back messages of what her friends are up to.
Heck yeah.
And she's gonna send those all out.
I dig it so much. That is, it's very, that's awesome. Dig it. Heck yeah. Your little critters, they run off and they disperse with the bundles, which I'd say, oddly enough, they're odd and they're uncommon around Eloria, but they're not out of place, as there are all manner of modes of communication and transportation taking place at any given moment. There's paper airplanes flying through the air. There's just little bits of motes of energy that will shoot between people. Sending is hyper common. Sending stones are hyper common as well. And then there's just teleportation circles all over the place that are kind of wired into the natural magics of Eloria already, even without the conduit functioning. Many places and locations are primed with magic, baked with enchantments and illusions and all kinds of goodies just running through everything. Anything at all to make life more comfortable for the denizens here. That is what Eloria is all about. Let's be comfortable and smart about it. But hey, I think this is probably a good place for us to call it here. And when we return to Eloria, we will be likely gathering all together as we begin to have a little fun at the gala tonight.
Can I actually do one thing real quick?
You 100%
before
can, and
we
I
set up?
can chip chop and swip around. Yeah,
Okay.
not a problem at all.
I just want to do it since she's still up in the flowers. Right before, after all her little creatures goes to send you her gifts, Nimbus will also then go back into her pouch, and her hand will kind of disappear inside as she's searching for some things, and she'll go to a small corner in where the flowers are, a bit away, take a quick glance around, make sure that there's no lingering workers or anything, that she is alone, and she'll scatter them out past Geocraft, and these specific purple flowers will grow. They're a bit smaller, but they have a bunch of small little florals on them, and she will take little clippings of each of them and hide them in little vials in her purse, and make sure that they're all gone by the time she's all done.
Interesting. I love it. Perfect.
Ooh, secrets.
Yeah, secrets, man. Secrets make friends. That's what we've learned tonight, guys. Heck yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
Voyeuristic friends.
Voyeuristic friends, and friends that keep secrets, and friends that murder people, and friends that like filling things with fish.
Friends that spy on you when you don't know.
Yep. Like,
Yeah.
Friends that fill your magic equipment with fish.
This would be on par, on board with that one.
And friends that
I
just
just know about it. She'd be like,